love and give me shelter. Simple life, it's all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love and give me shelter. Yeah.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the We2r Liberians Movement Platform, your distinct and dynamic platform that speaks to and for the masses. We are not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we are in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. Again, this is your one-on-one platform. We want to welcome you back to another thought-provoking episode of the We2r Liberians Movement Podcast, where we navigate the intricacies of our journey and explore how we as a community can overcome adversities together. I'm your host again, as usual, Ayiti Williams, and today we are diving into a heavy but very relevant topic, which is, as you can see, Serenity amidst chaos and the pathway or the path forward. So today I wanted to bring this particular topic, which of course I think is very vital that we kind of talk about, and this current climate, that's the immigration, deportation surrounding immigration issues, especially with the recent deportation of Liberians by the U.S. government, and has stirred many emotions across our community. It's tough, it's chaotic, and as we all know, it feels like a storm that many of us are caught in. But even in the midst of all this, there's still need for serenity, for us to be calm, resilient, and even strong. Even have, I would say, have a strong sense of community. So now, how can we stay grounded when the winds of uncertainty is blowing? Where a lot of us, because of whatever our situations are individually, when it comes to our status, be it those who are visiting, temporary protective services, what is called, uh, you know, whatever the situation may be, you know it. I believe the last time we were on another platform, and I think the whole issue actually stare into something very personal, and we were told not to kind of really dive deep into it. But I thought today's episode will discuss the current immigration dilemma, the impact of U.S. deportation policy on Liberian citizens, and how the Liberian Association in various states in the United Liberian Association, which is actually, I believe, ULAA, can step into to offer support, and ultimately how we can, find peace and strength amidst this major chaos that we have. So we'll try to kind of do this in segments. Let's start first with the reality of immigration challenges. Let me just break it down to an extent. Again, I said we will do this in segment. It's going to be a pretty short show, and at the end of the show, what I like to talk about our actual show that's slated for tomorrow. We'll have Mr. Dwalo, Mr. Ensu Dwalo, on the show, who's going to be talking about the Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund. That's going to be something that hopefully we can have a few viewers maybe come live or after the show. You can kind of tune in, watch for yourself, so that way you'll have some details as it relates to the Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund. But today, for the benefit of brevity and the sake of our subject, I know this is something that's ongoing. This Liberian who are to a large extent being deported, and the problem is to be in this country, whether you're here maybe 2 years or you've been here for 4 or 5 years, 10 years, whatever reasons, because I know we have people that have been here for 2 decades, 25 years, and things like that, or a little over that. But they've had some issues with some immigration issues. And I like to kind of put myself in that situation. When it comes to immigration paperwork, I never really had any problem because of how I came into the country, be it whether you came as refugee or you came on DV or you came on TPS or you were visiting and you were able to a large extent, adjust your status. But again, for tonight, let's do this in segment. The reality of immigration challenges. And as we can see here, the past, I'll say maybe several weeks, the U.S. government has made some moves to address the immigration issue. For many Liberians, this has uh, this has meant the abrupt and painful reality of being deported to a country where I would say they may have not lived for many years. Like I said, maybe it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or maybe 10, 20 years. You know exactly how many years you've been around and may have tried to adjust or make some adjustments to your status, but unfortunately that didn't happen. And only to be interrupted by the most recent transition that was made from Biden administration to the Trump administration. So many Liberians immigrants, I would say, have been living in the U.S. under various protected status, like TPS, which is the temporary protected status, or you may have DECA, which is deferred action for childhood arrival. But these protections have been pulled or are to a large extent under threat for being revoked. So let's look at this impact that is far reaching. For some, the deportation represents the end of a dream. It's severing of ties of the life they built wide away in the U.S. While others, it's pretty much an emotional roller coaster as they face an uncertain future, unsure of where they'll stand legally. Now, it may be financially, maybe emotionally, et cetera, et cetera. Uh, it's actually a loss of stability for families who have already gone through so much. Some fire, uh, so far, excuse me, some fled Liberia, to escape from the Civil War, where and others for other reasons. And now they find themselves in the situation where they are at risk of being deported again. So now, but let's not forget the positive side of this conversation. For some who are returning to Liberia, there's uh, the opportunity to a large extent reconnect with families and help rebuild the country they once fled. One would say, you know, it's not in your shoes. Oh, I'm wearing this shoes. Where do I go? How do I start? Things of that nature. Current government is not in the position to help these individuals who are being deported for whatever reason. Though the circumstances, aren't ideal, there's a sense of homecoming for those who are able to reintegrate. Hopefully, we can do that into their communities, bringing with them skills and experiences that can help Liberia move forward. So, take for example, maybe you stayed in the states, you were in the state for 5, 6, 7 years, or something along those lines, and now that you've stayed here and was able to a large extent develop some kind of skill, some kind of career, or maybe you went to school and you acquire some kind of degree, or just it really doesn't matter whether you even went to college or things of that nature. But has it had to a large extent you've developed some kind of skill, some kind of craft. Now that if you are deported, one may not want to hear this, that you can take that back and be able to apply it, create something not only for yourself, first you might want to create something for yourself. So we're trying to look at the positive, as opposed to the negative when it comes to this deportation. And it all depends on what you did while you were in the States, doing your stay in the States. That's the first segment we want to look at, And so it could be, to an extent, the negative here would be, now that you have to leave, go back, because when you're deported, the way the deportation is being done, it's to a large extent, there's no preparation that you make. You grabbed unannounced, and you have to return. And that's why it's important, because we're saying the positive side, where you have earned or developed some skills that you can take back now, you can use to not only benefit yourself, but to also contribute to your country and better your community. So let's look at the second segment here. That is the role of the Liberian Association and also ULAA. So now this is where our community comes into play. Liberian Association across various states. Let's look at it. For example, Maryland to Minnesota, and organizations like the United States, or the United Liberian Association of America, excuse me, have long been some kind of pillar that support our Liberian people, especially during times like these. And that's one thing we would expect. Liberian community, for example, in the Pennsylvania area, that could be in the New Jersey area, New York, you name it. Like I did mention, from Maryland to New York. So let's assume that, because the last time when I was on the other platforms, on the information that we did receive, that there are a number of Liberians that were to be deported. And I believe on the list they have, some did mention that there were 100, but for sure, there were about 3 individuals that were being deported, to be deported so far. So what is the role of the Liberian Association in these chapters that they have in various states, and also to mention the United Liberian Association of America, that's ULAA. What would be their role, since they actually can be called pillars that support our community, especially during these particular tough and difficult times. So now, how can these groups actually help in moment of crisis? So let's look at the very first way they can help, because you just don't want to get into people personal stuff. But one way can be through advocacy and legal support. So ULAA and the local association, which will be a Liberian association, must actually step up to provide some legal resources. Many Liberians I know, when I was on the LRTN, I don't have any legal background, but there were a host of other individuals who have, to a large extent, they have some legal background, were able to give some information. In fact, the president and his executives were present. They made their presentation, so we're able to take some information from there. What they have been doing, what they do in times like these, numbers were posted. So we expect that these associations will step up to the forefront to be able to help point individuals in the right direction, so as to help them navigate the process, and mitigate some of the difficulties, and just point them in the right direction. See how they can get some help them out through these difficult and trying times. So, like I said, ULAA actually has historically been a voice advocating for immigration reforms. But to what extent? Because you know, I've been around uh, the, the the state now for a while, and my recent involvement, to a large extent, kind of uh, plays a major role because I have been deeply connected to all the social media and been reaching out to get information as to how ULAA as well as this Liberian Association, how they impact the community. So if we're to narrate to the community that I lived in, uh, been around for more than 2 decades, and actually have not really seen the impact of the Liberian Association in conjunction with ULAA. But in times like these, we will expect these organizations to step up their game, even be proactive before these situations occur. But I believe that the downside here is that a lot of people that do come in to the country, they're not taking advantage of these resources. That was one thing that I heard. So, ULAA has actually been around, been advocating, trying to help people, get resources and point them in directions so that as they arrive in the country, they can have some support, and to have this roadmap that can help lead them so that they can easily, uh, you know, be integrated into this new lifestyle. But in the case of this deportation process, what is ULAA doing? Being an advocacy group, uh, being able to provide these legal support that will help the citizens. So that's one, excuse me, advocacy and legal support. Two, let's look at the emotional support and counseling. Immigration challenges often carry an emotional toll. Those affected may struggle with feeling a loss, fear, and confusion most of the time. So local association can provide access to mental health because, like we did mention earlier on, leaving your country, and the goal most time, people left for many reasons, political reasons, what I mean. Some maybe just for uh, educational investments, some for greener pasture and things of that nature. So to now get to a point where maybe you were working on your status and was trying to make adjustment, for some reason you were a little bit uh, lenient, and or you took a step back, and then this whole situation occurred with the recent transition from the Biden's government to Trump government, where he's now pressing hard on this deportation with many conditions, knowing that this can create this mental instability. Uh, I believe that there's support out there, and the Liberian Association, in conjunction with ULA, may be able to provide some support. Um, you know, uh, Peer support networking that fosters a sense of solidarity and healing. Also, resource distribution, which will be third under this second segment. So for those being deported, it is also is very important to have programs to help reintegrate them into uh, our Liberian society. Unfortunately, we had the president, speaking at a public gathering, made some statements that, to a large extent, was so discouraging and demeaning because it's true. I mean, you have a lot of us are here, on the different conditions, and when it comes to our immigration status, and with the situation that's unfolding itself, to have a president come up and make remarks that will, send out mixed emotions, especially for those who are under this turmoil, this tension, and to just make some of those comments would be. So, what is Liberia doing? What is the government doing? They would say, look, government is not prepared to even accommodate anyone. I mean, you've been deported. You're probably gonna be deported on your on grounds that the paperwork was not right. So you're going back to your home country. And for the most part, I don't know if they have anything set up to help, but there should be resources, you know, distribution or resource distribution and programs, to reintegrate or reintegration programs to help, individuals who will be deported, whatever the situation may be. I think that would be something that should be set up, and this should actually include some job trainings, financial support, uh, maybe temporary housing assistance that will help people, just try to get uh, situated to get started. But I mean, this is far fetched because even citizens that are on the ground, that are living there, and who have been around, don't get these assistance. Then, I mean, to have people who are deported, the expectation that people have, we be thinking that, oh, he's coming from the States, even though he or she been deported from the States, uh, they may still have resources. Maybe if they get on the ground, they have resources. But it is, I think this is something that the government should be ready to do, to give some form of assistance to help people. But as we go a little further, I'm looking at this whole deportation saga I'm trying to look at the positive side. And with Donald Trump, pressing on this, I think this also, it rings a bell for us. And how important it is for us to build our own, strengthen our own, create our own, so that we don't even have to worry about being deported or not being deported and things of that nature. Because the real truth of the country was set up such that we have everything that we need. Why would we be outside? But let's just continue to talk about this. Maybe at the conclusion of the show, we can dive a little bit deeper into why this can serve as, we look at the positive and we look at the negative. Because if we should build our own, if we should establish our own, and have everything set up where, we have good housing, we have good education, good health care, people working, people have jobs and all that stuff, then we wouldn't have to worry about this. So let's look at public awareness campaigns. In times like these, hopefully we can learn from this. Uh, it'll be easier for the immigrant community to become, you know, marginalized, because in the first place, uh, we saw what happened just from Ghana to Liberia. How the Ghanaians refugees, or Liberian refugees who were in Ghana, excuse me, how they were being treated. Put on bus and then take it to your country. There were proceed funds allotted for these citizens, and or who were being repatriated, who now will go back to the country. We're not even able to get those assistance. They were short-handed. So the public awareness campaign, where we'll be able to, and maybe this can be done through, some kind of partnership with other Africans immigrants in a group. ULAA and the local association can push for public policy changes to protect immigrants, and secure a more permanent pathway to stay in the U.S. So, there's a host of other things that can be done. You know, let's look at the third segment. It's not going to be a long show. How Liberians can stay calm amidst this major chaos that we have. So let's talk about serenity, finding peace in the midst of a storm. It's not easy. I understand that, but it's very necessary for us, as a people, to collectively, uh, be able to come together again, because our collective survival and resilience depends on such act, where amidst all of the chaos, the turmoil, the turbulence, we have to kind of remain calm, because that's where we'll be able to kind of reflect, recalibrate, uh, and then try to see how we can now move forward, to be able to show our power, of resilience. So no matter how difficult life gets, we are resilient people. Think about it. We went through almost 14 uh, year of civil war, where 200, almost a little over 250,000 people were killed. But we're still able, Liberian people, we Liberians, we are very strong people. Whether we were displacing Nigeria, Ghana, Guinea, and we were still able to pull it off and make something of ourselves. Upon our return, we're still able to survive amidst the difficulties that we're faced with. So, with all that being said, I think it's time for us to, have faith. While we're being resilient, we need to, because like I have said on most of our show, we the Liberians, we are proud of people that suffer 400 years of immense torture and agony. People that were resilient to see amidst the difficulty, amidst the fact that we come from a group of people that suffer torture, 400 years of torture, agony, humiliation. Yet they say, "Yo, what we're gonna do is still establish ourselves as an independent country." So in the midst of this, where we've been stripped of everything, because once you've been deported, who knows whether you have the time to go home, pack for yourself. I haven't seen anyone being deported, but I'm pretty sure with the current situation that's unfolding itself, you have ICE out there going, and once you're arrested, you're probably incarcerated, something like that, uh, and you will be set up for quick deportation. I don't know what the process is, but I mean, being deported back to Liberia is not the end of life. It's not the end of life. Going back to what I just talked about, the Civil War in Liberia, where a lot of us, we lost everything that we had, So, and I did, use the Civil War as a reference. We had 13, almost 14 years of Civil War, and we are people who were able to rise up in the midst of all that. And I always say that, we hail from a lineage and legacy of incredibly great men and women who suffered 400 years of torture. So being deported, it's not all to it. It's not the end of your life. We have to still show some level of resilience, no matter how difficult it may get. We are resilient people, and with our faith and faith in God, you know, uh, the community or the future is actually the cornerstone of our ability to weather this particular storm. It's difficult. It's hard. I don't know the number of persons that were deported, but we believe in that. If you can keep the faith, it definitely is easier said than done. It's gonna work out for good, because this is everything that's happening now is just seasonal. It's just time. It's a season. Who knows why it's happening now? Why you have to be deported and all that stuff? We'll find out. So, community and solidarity. There is power in numbers. The Liberian community in the U.S. has always, regardless of whatever someone may say, always been one of solidarity. Now is actually the time for us to continue supporting one another. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's actually the strength of our collective voices, our voice that will, drive the change that we want. whether through group gathering, online forum, and grassroots activism. We need to lift each other up, especially those facing this deportation. Because sometimes, you know what I mean? Like we always say, each one help one. Your problem, I should be, to an extent, should be my problem. I should be concerned about you. You as well be concerned about me. Because it's not easy to come to this country, leave Liberia, come here, where it's almost like you try to restructure your life, get yourself together, but because of your document that's not, proper, now you have to be deported. It's a shame. It's difficult. I know how upsetting that can be, how discouraging it can be, but that's not the end of life. I don't think we should criticize other people, those who are going through such difficult season. We have to be there for them. We should work together as a community. Like I did mention, whether it's through community advocacy, whether it's through, us or by us grouping together, forming some kind of online group or online forum, or grassroots activism. Uh, this is a shared responsibility for all of us. Now, patience and advocacy is another way. Why the political landscape seems uncertain. We must maintain patience in our advocacy. While we're advocating, we're patient, we're waiting, but we're working. We're not only talking the talk, like we also always said, excuse me, you know what I mean? We are making sure that we're using all of our networking resources so as to help those who are still here, trying to weather the storm. Maybe they have their paperwork that's being worked on. Let's point them in the right direction. Let's reach out to them. Let's provide them all of the necessary resources that we have. Whatever we know, the information that they need, to be able and whether it's the through ULAA or it's through the Liberian Association within it could be Pennsylvania, it could be New Jersey, New York, wherever we are, wherever we find ourselves. It's time now for us to help each other, one another. Let's be there. Let's be that support base that will help our brothers and our sisters. Because you don't even know how mentally disturbing this situation can be that will impact your mental and physical well-being. And this is the final point that I want to look at in this segment. We cannot underestimate the importance of self-care. It's time for us to really take care of ourselves. Because the one thing we have to understand here, and I know that most time when it comes to this deportation or being denied of whatever the situation is, we become hopeless and it gets to our head where we get depressed. We think that hope is lost. We ought to understand that naked we came and naked we will return. So just being the fact that you're being deported is not the end of your life. So we should try to get ourselves together for those of us. I know it's easier said than done. One would say, Ayita, what are you talking about? But your mental well-being is what I mean, it's important, regardless of your status. Still, put yourself in a frame of mind where you're mentally sober, so that you don't lose it. You don't lose it. Because if you do, what's the point of you getting all depressed over the status? Is true. Now that you've been around maybe for 5, 10, or 15 years and just to get deported, that can really impact your mental state. But remember now, it's important that you maintain calm, you maintain the peace, and to be able to sort things out so that it doesn't impact you as an individual where you lose it, you get depressed, you get sick, over time develop illness or disease that will impact your life. But what I've taken away from this, as we conclude, as we wrap up today's episode. I think if we built the solution to this problem that we have, what I mean? And my very first visit to Africa, 2021, when my mother passed away, because I always like to think things through, to see while we were on our way to, Africa. I understand, it was a whole bunch of us on the flight. But have you realized that this, when it comes to us wanting to leave, why are we leaving our country? Why we leave our country? Why we leave Liberia should be a question. And how can we resolve this issue of us leaving our country in in numbers, in drove? This is only happening because we've not gotten to the place where we stress the importance of us building our own. Because if we build our own, then we won't have to worry about deportation. If we can establish our own, build solid foundation, build our institutions, establish for ourselves a solid foundation and structure where, we have everything that we need to thrive. Why would we be worried about, moving to another country, to move into the West in order to have. There are other countries around the world where, people are such that they establish, they're self-sufficient, they have all the, when you have the conversation with a lot of uh, our Liberian brothers and sisters, and those who are much older than our generation would tell you that prior to the civil war in Liberia, not too many of us wanted to travel outside the country. We were happy, after you graduate high school, you went to college, and once you went to college, uh, the next thing was there were jobs in the country. If you were to travel outside the country, maybe you only did travel for visit and you went back to the country. So this whole issue of the deportation should ring a bell for us. As we talk about us, in the midst of this chaos, let's remain calm, serenity amidst chaos. The immigration struggle and the pathway forward. So the pathway forward should be now, what do we do? And that's why the We2r movement will go back to it, talking about, us reconfiguring our strategy to make sure that, because we have everything that we need. The reason why we leaving our country, the reason why we'll have to go outside, seek refuge, or to seek better life, to seek employment, to seek health, health care and all that stuff, is because we lack those things, But if we build our country, we build better infrastructure, we have good clinics, hospitals, good roads, we have food, we have better shelter, then we wouldn't worry about this immigration situation saga that's unfolding itself. And I think we will have our people in the state or frame of mind where there will be serenity when, if for any reason there this issue of deportation, and but we've been looked down on because we feel to equip ourselves, we feel to develop our country. And so you have these countries, especially now, Trump will say whatever he has to say. So I hope this situation, will ring a bell for those of our leaders, or particularly for the president and his executives and those in high places. And that's why we keep pushing for this, national blueprint, amidst all this that we're going through. That would be the way forward, where we can retain our citizens. Our citizens, Liberians, will go to school, or you will learn your trade, you have your your vocational trainings, and we won't be bothered about leaving the country to be humiliated under these conditions where you come here, everyone. You have our musicians will leave the country. Would you have Puff Daddy leave here or R. Kelly or these celebrities? Yeah, they will do it by choice. The rock stars and you know what I mean? All the singers. I'm not gonna go, this is not a race card. Whether you're black or white. But you have the celebrities leave and go to our country, want to stay there, you know what I mean? Want to do whatever they have to do just to gain status. So if we build our own, if we equip our own, if we, build our infrastructure, better schools, we encourage investors where we have jobs because we have everything. Not to sound, I don't really like to sound redundant because I mean, we'll go around and around and around and around, come back to the same old thing, Why are we in chaos? You know what I mean? Now we're trying to find serenity. You have people if these people are deported, where are they going? Where do they start from? Especially whether or not your status was not complete but you have laid a certain lifestyle. How can you now go back? Where are you starting from? A country that is in so much chaos. So that's why it's important for us to strive to build our own. So as we wrap up today's episode, of this week, the We2r Liberians Movement Podcast, let's remember that while, the storms of immigration reform and deportation policies may seem overwhelming, our community is not alone. You have the support. We have always weathered the storm before. And so we can do it again. And we'll do it, and we do so, and we do so again. So it's important to stay calm amidst everything that's going through, to stay grounded and remain united. With a united front, united force, in spite of everything that's going, we will do better. So if you're tuning, I know this is the conclusion of the show. This is the We2r Liberians Movement platform, your distinct and dynamic platform that speaks to for the masses. We certainly are not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we are in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. The topic for tonight, Serenity amidst chaos, the immigration struggle, and the way or the path forward. So what are we doing about this? Not only are we going to try to tackle the immigration policy, but let's try to build our own. Let's establish our own. Let's invest into our education, invest into our roads, our infrastructure, our healthcare. Then we don't have to worry about, leaving our country to go and seek for greener pasture or pasture. So for those facing these struggles, know that there's strength in the support of your fellow Liberians. We see exactly what you're going through, and together we can find ways to navigate through the chaos. So let's remain calm. Let's stay put. It's all going to work out for good. The book says that weeping may endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning. This is just temporary. It's not going to last forever. Don't kill yourself. Don't feel depressed. Still strong, still resolute. It's going to be well. And to the rest of us, continue to be steady. Offering support, understanding, and guidance for those who need it the most. Thank you for tuning in tonight or today. This is the We2r Liberians Movement. As you all know, I am your host, Ayiti Williams, reminding you to stay serene amidst the storm. Because after every storm, there's what? There is a brighter day. Until next time, I've been your host again. Stay strong, stay united, and always remember We2r Liberians Movement platform, the platform that speaks to for the masses. We are not in the business, as we always say, manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we're in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process for our people. We2r Liberians. Let's know that. The We2r Liberians Movement acknowledges that while politics is often cited as one of the primary challenges facing Liberia, we believe that the core issue lies in the mindset of our people. The way we think is actually a product of what we will be. I mean, the quality of person that this country has produced and is producing is responsible or plays a vital, pivotal role in shaping the future. So the We2 movement is firm in the belief that if we can transform the mindset of Liberians, the broader societal landscape will inevitably change for the better. So let's not give up. Let's not throw in the towel. Let's keep fighting the good fight. Help is on the way. Liberia is going to be better. Let's continue to empower ourselves, empower our brothers and our sisters. And if we do that, empower them with the right knowledge, the right skills, the right value, we can steer this country to a more productive and sustainable, path. Again, this is the We2r Liberians Movement platform. I'm your host, Ayiti Williams. Until next time, stay strong again, stay united. Always remember, We2r Liberians. Bye for now. Have a good day. Good night.
Simple life. It's all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter.